Seguimos en el SDN World, estamos en el Coffee Break, como pueden ver posiblemente detrás mío pasará mucha gente, y nos visita Michael Hafner de la empresa Tekelec, que nos va a dar su visión, como todas las personas que están en este congreso, sobre SDN. Michael, welcome to Telesemana, and the first and obvious question, given the fact that we're hearing different definitions of what SDN is, there is a common base, but then it seems that everybody is tweaking the definition of SDN a little bit, so tell us what it means for you guys, SDN.
SDN, well, yeah, we're kind of in the middle of this whole debate as well between software-defined networking and network functions virtualization. We view them as different aspects, but are very complementary. And NFV is kind of an enabling technology that allows software-defined networking to really kind of reach its full potential. Okay. So when we look at software-defined networking specifically, we look at it as the virtualization of the network architecture. So how can you leverage network functions virtualization to then dynamically change and alter network topologies to best address the services and subscribers that you're trying to run over those networks?
Okay, now we're hearing different levels of SDN and even network function virtualization. Some companies seem to say, ideally you would virtualize everything. Some companies are saying on the carrier side, is utopia to try to reach a complete virtualization because they have boxes, because they have legacy, and because they actually trust boxes. So what is your view on these two camps? The ones that are saying, we need to just go everything software and forget boxes could be anything, between those who say, no, it probably would be like a combination of the two.
It is going to be a combination of the two. The reality is that most of these carriers have a significant amount of infrastructure already built in that has an implied network topology to that. Software-defined networking isn't going to come in and replace everything. It's not a rip and replace technology. The intent is to use it as an overlay, potentially to deploy it incrementally, whether it be for new services or for certain parts of the network. Obviously, with Tekelec being a core network control plane vendor, our view of the world is that there are certain aspects of the control plane which lend itself more naturally to being virtualized and then take advantage of software-defined networking technologies initially as an overlay to the existing network architecture, and then as that starts to prove itself out, the scope can expand to cover more and more services, but a full replacement of existing network architectures is going to take years or decades if it ever happens.
And that's because of what the operators have. So let's imagine a greenfield operator, no infrastructure at all, starts from scratch. Do you think that operator would actually have an end-to-end virtualization infrastructure? We would completely reshape it in a way that we have not seen yet, or we will not see from Telefonicas and these companies that have this amount of boxes everywhere in the world.
Yeah, I think even still, given the state of the NFV research and some of the lab trials going on, there's still questions whether everything can be virtualized, whether it makes sense. There's certain parts of the network around, 10 gig, 40 gig, 100 gig data pipes. Does it really make sense to virtualize that on commercial off-the-shelf platforms? Maybe, maybe not. I think that as the tests continue to prove out, some of those technologies will probably be continued to be deployed like they have been today. And even with the greenfield operator, there's still a level of interoperability that they will have to do for roaming agreements and things of that nature, which, I think, again, I don't think SDN comes in as a complete replacement architecture. I think it's a way of evolving what we've learned over the last 30-some odd years and improving it, making it more resilient, more flexible, more cost-effective, with the intent, again, one of the things that we're looking at is SDN can't be purely about network architecture. You have to plug in, subscriber information, information about the services, what are the business rules, how do carriers make money, so things that we do in the nature of policy, we think has a very interesting impact into connecting policy control. Yeah, and then tying that to SDN controllers and really trying to bridge between kind of the old and the new world.
Okay, now in terms of product cycling, can you comment on what is Tekelec? Because we're hearing companies here saying they are on a trial basis at this stage. Perhaps at the end of the year they might have something that might resemble something commercial. Yeah. Probably 2014 would be even more realistic. I don't know where Tekelec is in terms of...
Yeah, and unfortunately I can't be real specific about what the future roadmap is. I mean, we have made some announcements that certain parts of our solution portfolio have been virtualized, and we are currently involved with either carrier trials or lab activities around that. We haven't made any public statements about what our long-term SDN strategy is, and so again, as we're in the process of being acquired. Those types of decisions will be made and will be communicated as part of Oracle's plans going forward. So,
going back to the SDN and the virtualization, which it seems that the ideas, it seems to me, it's just to reduce the cost of the capex related to the boxes.
yeah.
Can operators still reduce costs and get the benefits of SDN if we are talking about a hybrid model where boxes still will have, we're not going to be putting warmer boxes on there. You're going to put, you're going to have some level of sophistication. Can they still achieve what SDN promises if you were to go completely, virtualized, where the boxes had no impact whatsoever on the infrastructure? Or do you think, at the end of the day, the cost of boxes, can go as far down as they can? That's it.
So I'll answer the question this way. I mean, I think that SDN and network functions virtualization, even if it's done in parts of the network, is going to extract a value both in terms of CapEx expenditure and OpEx expenditure. I mean, as much as you can in certain parts of the network standardize on common hardware platforms or commercial off-the-shelf platforms, automate some of the capabilities that you have in terms of network configuration, spinning up and tearing down instances of network functions on a more automated basis. That's going to have a net effect of improving, the cost structure, both in terms of hardware and personnel trying to run that. It doesn't have to be an all or none type of proposition. So there will be incremental benefits. And again, we're also looking at how do you leverage NFV and SDN technology beyond just the cost saving standpoint. I mean, that's a good way to get into the game, right? To make an argument, to start looking at it. But long term, you want to start figuring out how can I generate new revenues? How can I improve subscriber satisfaction, retain my customers? Some of those more, esoteric benefits that may be harder to put into a business case. But, longer term, it has to be about, building a business, building a digital lifestyle business as opposed to just saving cost.
Finally, what is your opinion on the Open Daylight initiative?
We're tracking Open Daylight. We're tracking how to use OpenStack. So in our CTO team, as we're figuring out, kind of how our architecture is going to come together, we are trying actually, a number of these different types of open source stacks. I personally can't speak to the details of Open Daylight, but I know that Tekelec is looking at a number of different open source models to incorporate with our platform architecture as well, to figure out kind of what's got the best, cost benefit. How much additional work would we have to do with some of the existing open source standards? That might not be ready right out of the box. So that's kind of where we are.
All right. Well, thank you so much for visiting us, and good luck with the rest of the show.
Thank you.
Thanks.